Okay, once again, good morning, and thanks for joining the webinar. As discussed with you all already, following the Business Expo, we've set everybody up a free account with some free credits on there, which clearly we'd love you to go away and test and evaluate. Prior to doing that, today's session is literally just a deeper dive into the basics, such as how you can load in your data, how you can push a message out, explaining some key functionality in there, as well as sharing some best practices along the way. So I'm sure you'll all find it useful, and throughout the webinar we'll be asking for some audience participation. So if you do have your handsets and would like to take part, then please have them at the ready. I will start just by giving you sort of a brief overview into Textlocal and our platform. So as a business, we've been running sort of 10 years now. We've built up a healthy client base. We're working with just over 100,000 businesses, working with some well-known brands such as Pizza Hut, Domino's, Manchester United, Google, etc. Don't be fazed by that. The business was founded on the SME, very much continues to do so. We're pushing out around about 40 million messages a month. We have great working relationships with the Tier 1 networks, allow us a lot of privileges that we're able to pass down to you. Main benefit is obviously bulk SMS and the ability to push out within 3 to 5 seconds. In terms of the platform itself, it's a prepaid pay-and-go platform. It's run through the website with no software to download. There's obviously no contracts, there's no tie-in period. You service the platform by purchasing credits. A credit represents one message, and you buy credits in bundles, the smallest being 100, the largest being 5 million. The emphasis really then, the more you buy, the cheaper it becomes. Ultimately, we only charge you for the cost of a message. What then sits within the platform in terms of functionality is completely free to use. That functionality is really designed to help you open up better communication lines with your customers, which in turn will hopefully get you better ROI. So we'll make a start then. Once you've logged in, you'll log in through textlocal.com with the email and the password. Once you've done that, this is the first screen you see. This is your home screen, just covering off some very basic reporting stats over a 30-day window, such as what you might have sent, what you've received. A graph would populate in accordance with any sends, and you navigate around the platform using the bar at the top. Just hover over a header, gives you a drop down, you'd select the relevant field and away you go. In the far right corner you've got a breakdown of what credits you've got. It's very easy to buy credits, you literally just buy directly through the platform. First things first, we're just going to create a contact group. So we would hover over contacts, we would hit create group. You would give the group a name. I've already preset one, so we'll just click into that. Just to give you some confidence on what we do with your data, as a business, we stipulate that actually we won't work with anybody that will look to push out spam marketing messages. The reason being is, we don't believe in it. We don't believe it's the best practice. So on that basis, we practice what we preach, and we don't reuse your data for our own gains. We don't sell it onto third parties. All of your data is secured securely and stored at Rackspace in London, which I believe is one of the most secure data centers in the world. So rest assured, any data loaded into the system is completely safe. Once you've created that group, this is the first screen that you see. I've talked about the privileges that we get from the network. We've already said about the 3 to 5 seconds. The other benefits that you'll get is the ability to use a sender name. So rather than pushing a text out from a number, we can send it from the business name, and the idea with that is that if people can recognize the source, they're more likely to read it, which in turn makes them more likely to do what the text is set out to achieve. And then finally, you can personalize messages to these fields here. So number, first name, last name would be self-explanatory. Custom 1, 2, and 3, you would set the criteria for that. As a quick example of how that works, we work with Admiral Insurance, and they will manage their renewals for it. So they could send out all of January's at the same time, and they prepare the text like, hi, first name, car registration, custom 1 is due to expire, custom 2, your renewal price is custom 3. It's all sent within 3 to 5 seconds, and when the text is received, it's individual to the recipient. To get the data into the platform, you hit add, paste, upload. 3 ways, and best practice would normally be to create an Excel spreadsheet. It would be a CSV to be compatible with our platform. You'd have a column per personalized field, and you'd simply hit the upload button and import those contacts. Next option you've got is the paste list, and that literally is as it seems. You can copy data from wherever it's held on your PC and paste into this box here and add in the numbers. Must stress, this will not work for any personalised fields, so if you were looking to personalise, please do not use this option. Next bet is the add single option, which literally as it seems again is adding them in one by one. I would say you would very infrequently use this because it would take some time if you've got large databases. It's just quite handy to add people to existing groups. So that's how you would load a database in that you've already built. I know for a fact there is some of you that's on today's webinar that haven't got data. There is a way in which you can grow your data through text without the need to go out and purchase data. The challenges you've got by buying data is that it's expensive, and the data you source wouldn't necessarily be for your target audience, so it's always extremely hard to get a return on investment on that front. Likewise, for the people that do already have data, you are a business, I'm sure you've got aspirations to grow, to compete in your local towns or cities with like-minded businesses. So this next part of the demo would suit you as well. And what it is, it's basically something that's called a keyword and shortcode. The concept is it's a word that's referable to a business or a campaign on a number that's shorter than a traditional 11-digit number, so the idea being it's memorable. Everybody gets a free keyword when they sign up. It's randomly generated, such as ABC123. You can obviously purchase personalised ones, which I'm doing for today's webinar, and we've obviously set the word webinar on 60777. Now what you need to do to make this work successfully is you need some sort of incentive to get people to text in. The idea being is when they text in, their number's recorded, they opt into your service, you can then reuse that data at later dates to your advantage. Ways and means of getting people to text in could be offers or discounts. So text in for 10% off, text in to enter this. There is options whereby you can hit them with autoresponders that would give them that voucher code to quote at point of sale. Obviously, winner announced shortly. If you're not a traditional business that sells products or services, you could use it a bit like ourselves, a bit more of a communication/informative tool. So text in for more information about what we do. You can then hit them with autoresponders that can have URLs inbuilt into the text that can then take them through to pages of reference where they can download brochures, watch videos, etc. So within each inbox, you've got a settings tab. If you hit settings, I'll move on to what this is when we do the outbound part of the demo, but basically this is where you prepare the bounce back text message for anybody texting in. We've got the add sender to a group list, so this is quite important because I've talked about this being a database builder. So what happens is without this box ticked is that the message and number will just come into the inbox and just sit there. At some point when you want to reuse that data, what you'd have to do is export that to an Excel spreadsheet and then load it back in as a contact group through the way of which I've just shown you. So that process doesn't take too long, but it's 2 or 3 minutes you could save by clicking this option on. And what we're saying here is if you create a blank contact group with the same name as the keyword, same group name as the keyword, we can then, when the message comes in, strip the number straight from the text and pre-add it into that contact group. So for anybody texting in now, the number would just be stripped and put straight into that group webinar. You can also ask for a number of custom fields, so text in webinar followed by your name, for instance, and again it would strip then the name and then put that into the contact group. Now obviously we've discussed this is a prepay system. We've also said that it's run online through the website. So on that basis, you're going to be quite busy and you're not going to have time necessarily to manage it and check it hourly. So if there is any sort of time sensitive messages that have come into the system, so you can action them quickly, you can auto forward any incoming message to a number of emails so that you can action accordingly. I did say about audience participation, so for those of you that would like to see this concept in action, if you could take out your phones and literally load up a new message, in the toolbar, just type the word 60777, so that's 60777. In the message box, literally just type the word webinar, that's WEBINAR. So to recap, new message, destination 60777, and message box webinar, then just hit the send button, and what you should get within a couple of seconds is the bounce back text that you can see in front of you. I'll literally just give you all 10 seconds to catch up, and then we'll move on to the outbounds part of the demo. Okay, fantastic. So we've shown you how to load in your existing database of numbers. We've shown you how to build or grow that database of numbers. And naturally, what you'll now want to do is push out a text communication. So if you go to send text message, any group that you've created will appear on the left-hand side. By putting the dot inside the circle, that now selects everybody in the group. If you don't want to send to everybody in the group, rather than creating a series of micro groups, what you can do is hit this end arrow. It'll give you a drop down of all of the people that are in the group. Clearly I can't do that for data protection, but then you could just select and deselect who needs or who doesn't need the text. Clearly we're a different entity to social media, but we have built some software that joins the two together. So if you can hit the configure button, allow us access to Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter, what we're saying is any communication you're pushing out to your text customers, we'll replicate that as a status update onto those media sites. The idea being the more people that see your message, the more people are likely to take up those offers or communications. On the right-hand side, we now prepare the message. Obviously, we've already discussed what a sender name is and the benefits of using a sender name. You are able to change that at any time just by clicking here, adding sender, free typing what you like in there up to 11 characters. It will always keep to the default next time you come back into it, but what it will do is it will keep a history of what you've ever used for easy selection. We're now ready to prepare the message. I'll show you how personalization works. Now, that wouldn't be any good because not everybody's name's Andy. So what we actually do is if we hit Insert Merge Fields and click the button first name, that will now do a lookup under how we've loaded our data in and populate that accordingly. And then obviously you would just continue with the message, dropping in any other custom fields where applicable. Obviously I've just, for today's benefit, just created a template. You are able to create a number of templates if you wish, and you do that under Send and Templates and Drafts. You'll just get the message box as you can see here. You prepare the message and save it as a template, and it's selected from this option there. I just want to share a number of sort of industry best practices with you now before I move on. So typically a response rate from a text campaign would be around about 28 to 32%. You compare that to email at 5% and direct mail even less than that. The results are really starting to speak for themselves and are backing up why more and more businesses are now starting to use text as a main form of communication. I think the catalyst behind that is that everybody has a handset. 97% of messages are read in the first 5 seconds, and more importantly, there's actually no spam filter on a mobile. So it's the only communication tool in the world that you can guarantee that your message is going to get read. So it's extremely powerful. That said, it should be just as simple as loading your database in, pushing your text out, and waiting for the great response. But if it was me, if it was my marketing budget, to ensure I had every chance of getting that ROI that I desire, what I'd be looking to do is include links onto my text. The reason I do that is it would give me much more insight into what my customer database are thinking, re my offers and communications. And what I mean by that is that if you pushed a text out with no link into it, on the basis that you've used the sender name, there is no way that the customer can reply to that text because that business name doesn't exist as a destination. So on that basis, you're solely reliant on the customer making contact with you through various channels, phone call, internet, or face-to-face in store. So if your sales are going a little bit slower than anticipated after the text, there's nothing on that basis that you can do short of another round of text messages to be proactive. On the flip side of that, if you now use a link, what you can determine is that if you sent a text from Textlocal, people recognize the source, they're now more likely to read it. If they're interested in the content of the message, they're more often than not going to quit that link. It's human nature. If you're not interested, you won't quit that link. Through our reporting suite, we're then able to report back the amount of people that have clicked the link, the mobile device that opened the link along with the browser, the date and time that it was clicked, but most importantly, the number of that person. So now you've got intelligence to target them. Now you could take two stances. You could send a second round of text messages to the people that click the link only with a further offer on, further incentivizing them to go on and purchase. Second option is, you could make phone calls to these people. They're not traditional cold call nuisance calls. They're on an opted-in database anyway, and they've already been warmed up through a text which they've interacted with. So it's certainly ways and means of influencing your response rates. The different types of link you can use, if we click the add attachments and links, we do separate session and best practices on these where we go into a bit more depth. I'm conscious of time today, so I'm just going to skim this through. Short link is literally just a very basic link to a home page on a website, so more of a reference point more than anything else at the end of a text. You've got the page link. Page link is basically where you build a mobile web page within our system. It's hosted by us. Sounds quite complex, mobile web page, but don't be fazed by it. It's extremely easy to create. It takes about 5 minutes to knock a simple one up. But here you'd be making a page or a landing page that's referable to the outbound text. So rather than dropping somebody at the home page on your website where they've got to navigate to find the information, why not send them a page that's referable to the outbound text? This is a real game changer for us. As far as I'm aware, we're the only SMS provider that have got this technology at the moment, and we've managed to replicate the attachment feature on email. So we're all aware on an email we can attach movies, files, documents, brochures, pretty much anything we like, but we're now at a point you can do that with text. It's also a great way around the 160 character rule. You may or may not be aware that it's 160 characters per message. Our system will let you send more than 160 characters. It will be sent as one continuous message, but it will be charged at 2, 3, 4, 5 credits and so on. And clearly what you're wanting to do is you want to send the best possible text out as cheap as possible to maximize your ROI. So on that basis, to keep it within one message, what you could do if your message content goes over 160 is create yourself a Word document, go into chapter and verse on that if you really want to, save it as a PDF, and then use the attachment feature to load that document in, and then send somebody a one-line text saying, hey, click this link for more details. That's certainly within 160, and obviously they can then open up those documents. We've then got the survey tool. It does what it says on the tin. It can be used as a way of evaluating feedback from customers with regards to your products, your services, to build on those customer relations. Again, it's built through the website on a mobile web page basis. It can be one page, it can be several pages. You get the options for multiple choice, star ratings, drop-down boxes, geolocators, etc. It also doubles up this as a data capture form. So it's a great way of capturing data. So if you're running a marketing campaign where you wanted people to fill a form to leave best time of call back, or products that they're interested in, or dates and times of appointments, again, they could click the link, fill the form out, hit the submit button, and all of that information would come back through for you to report and analyze. Then we've got, finally, ticketing and loyalty. So this is very much about one-time ticket codes, so the ability to push out vouchers that can be redeemed at point of sale for discounts. And then we've got long-term loyalty, very much about replacing the loyalty card. So having that card sat on Passbook within your handset. Each time you go in, you can scan for redemption. The system keeps a record of that, and then on a certain threshold, it could fire out, unique offers for that loyalty scheme. Again, it's something that's created through the system in this section here, and again, it is quite a bit more involved. So we do separate webinars on that. In fact, there is a couple of recordings on our website for those of you that would like a bit more immediate information on the ticketing and loyalty scheme. So that pretty much concludes your links and attachments. Each and every one of those can be reported, which obviously have the benefits that we've already talked about. Here's your character count. Clearly this is just a demo, so in this scenario I'm not so bothered it's 2 texts, but live scenario you would clearly do everything you can to reduce that to 160. You are able to schedule texts, so literally if you're in a meeting this afternoon, you could log on this morning and set it up to go out at a specific time and dates. You can schedule up to a year in advance, so that's an automatic schedule feature. We do allow you access to an API as well. For those of you that don't know what an API is, it stands for Application Program Interface. In simple terms, it's us integrating our system with yours to enable an automatic process. Simple form of an API would be the doctor's surgery example. You book your doctor's appointment for Thursday of next week. The receptionist puts it on their internal diary system. She doesn't even touch the front end that you can see in front of you. And then what happens is, through that integration, the day before, our system will go in, it will interrogate that diary system, suck out the information it needs, and fire out text messages to the people that have appointments the next day. We're now ready to send them. Oh, sorry, we've got the opt-out system as well, which again goes back to practicing what we preach. We're encouraging opt-in marketing, so on that basis, for any marketing text that you're sending out, please use the opt-out system. It allows your customers to utilize that opt-out path and be removed from future sends if they want. We manage the admin for you, so that if you pushed out 100 messages and 20 people opted out, the next time you log in, you'd only see 80 there. We don't delete them. You're able to review them at any time simply by going to contacts and opt-outs. So we are now ready to send the message. So for everybody that took part, you should now get this outbound text as we've prepared. And it will allow you, again, to interact through those links. So what we'd now do is we go to reports. We go to all reports. This is a really handy section for cleansing your database of invalid numbers and also being proactive and tracking those click-throughs on the links. The first thing we'll do is we'll show you how to pull a group report and cleanse your database. So if you go to groups, here's the text that we've just sent. Obviously, I can't hit the check button, unfortunately, because of data protection, but ultimately, we would now get live delivery receipts directly back from the network. So it's not us telling you we've delivered it. It's again utilizing that relationship with the networks. And you'll get a number of statuses we've delivered, an invalid, and that will then allow you to remove those numbers. And again, mean that you've got a 100% cleansed database for the next send. We go back to reports, all reports, short links. So obviously I've used this multiple times for various different demos, but here you can see obviously we've pushed this one out. We've got 22 click-throughs through on this one, so we can now work out a percentage. We now hit view stats. We get a plotted line graph of who clicked and when they clicked. This allows us to target people in sequential order. Clearly we'll target people today before we move on to tomorrow's. You'll get a breakdown of devices and screen resolution. This really helps you profile your client base. We've talked about the functionality in the system, most of which involves building pages. So if you can build those pages or tailor them to certain handsets, then you've got the information to do so. Also, it's suggesting to me that actually if I'm pushing out a lot of messages and I'm getting a lot of hits, my clients like interacting with me that way. So I should be using more and more links and more and more communications via text. Unfortunately, again, this is something I can't do because of data protection, but if I was to now export as a CSV, this will transfer everything through to an Excel spreadsheet, which is where we include further information such as the date and time that it was clicked, the browser that opened the message, but as I say, more importantly, that mobile number for your follow-up purpose. That pretty much concludes what I wanted to show you today. So just to recap, we've shown you how to load in an existing database of numbers. We've shown you how to build a database for those of you who don't have any numbers, but also grow the database for those of you that do. We've then pushed out a message and explained very briefly the functionality that you're able to use. As we've discussed already, there's no extra cost for that, and it just allows you to be proactive as possible. And we've then just finally shown you how to pull those reports in terms of who's clicked your links and help you cleanse your database. There is a lot more to the system and a lot more depth that I could go into. Clearly, we've got a lot of industry expertise for various sectors, so if you would like a one-to-one session where we drill down to individual requirements, I'm more than happy to help. For those of you that would like a bit more of an in-depth one-to-one demo as well, more than happy to do that. You will get me on my direct dial, which is 01244 573 246. That number again is 01244 573 246. Alternatively, you can email me. It's Andy.Hemming, that's H-E-M for mother, I-N-G, at textlocal.com, and it's textlocal.com. So that's Andy.Hemming at textlocal.com. And finally, to recap, we have set everybody an account up. We are extremely confident in the platform and concept, and very aware that if you do test and evaluate the platform, you will see some good results. So on that basis, we've pre-added some credits on there as well that will allow you to do that test and evaluation. And then what we'll probably do is in a couple of weeks follow it up with you and see how that test has gone, and see what the plans are long term. So thanks for joining us this morning. I'll look forward to catching up with everybody soon. Bye bye.